All right, and to discuss this a bit more further and what was done in terms of commemorating and marking World Firefighters Day, we are joined by Robert Mulaudzi, and he joins us via our phone line. He is the spokesperson for the Johannesburg Emergency Medical Services. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Robert. Perhaps maybe let's start here. In terms of the city of Johannesburg, or Johannesburg as a region, what was done in terms of, marking and observing a day like this?
Yeah, we were remembering on this day, the 4th of May, the International Firefighters Day, we were remembering our colleagues who, firstly, those who lost their lives in the line of duty, and also encouraging those who are still continuing to render this very important essential service to our communities out there. Most important thing was for us to highlight the dangers of us, which we face on a day-to-day basis when we render our service, and also the importance of us, our communities protecting us while we render this very important service to our communities.
And for someone like you, Robert, who is in this industry, and many of you put your lives on the line to save a number of South Africans, what does a day like this mean to you as a firefighter?
Yeah, I think the day is very important because that is where we firstly try and introduce, reintroduce ourselves to our communities to say that we have raised up our hands to protect them as and when there's an emergency. So they must also continue to protect us, and also just to maybe enlighten our communities about the other areas, in terms of careers in the service, because maybe most of our communities out there, they only know, about firefighters who put the wet stuff, which is the water, into the hot stuff. So it becomes an opportunity for us to, highlight other careers which we have. It might be careers at our emergency call center. It might be in terms of our fire prevention programs and all that, because the fire services now is broad. Mostly, it's not reactive. It's mostly proactive. So there's a lot of investment in terms of maybe fire prevention officers who normally do conduct code enforcement, make sure that if their events are complying, and also those officials who normally empower our residents out there in terms of public education. So the fire service is much more broader, so it becomes an opportunity for us to make sure that we also encourage maybe young people who might be interested to join the service.
And one thing that always comes to the fore when dealing with firefighters is the issue of resources. What are the kind of challenges that you still continue to face, even though you highlighted these challenges just seem to never get addressed?
Yeah, I think generally, as and well, because we're working within the communities, I believe that we will always have issues in terms of the challenges of resources, because as and when our communities grows, so therefore there will be a need for us to, have those required resources. But right now, in the fire service, I think the good part is that we have got partnerships, which we have with our neighboring municipalities. I mean, if you talk about Gauteng, Ekurhuleni, Johannesburg, and so on, we've got a good working relations, which we share ideas, resources, and whatever resources which we have. So for us, I think it's just a continuation of what we do, because in most of the trainings which we do, or the exercises which we do, or simulation exercises which we conduct mostly on regular basis, we're working together. So it doesn't become difficult for us to work together as and when there's a need or there's an emergency which requires us to work together. But yes, the challenge of resources will always be there, as long as there's a growth in terms of communities which we're servicing. We will have to find a way to mostly invest on our public educational programs, because You know, the fire service of 2023 cannot be measured by the number of fire incidents or incidents which we respond to but we can be measured by the number of incidents which we prevent. So community empowerment is very important. Hence, with the fire service of today is actually following a model of prevention in the future, where you will find that, for instance, in the city of Johannesburg, we have got like B-safe centers, which are spread throughout the city, which these centers are specially designed to make sure that our communities can actually walk in for them to be able to receive public educational programs, life and fire safety educational programs for free, be it first aid, you know, basic firefighting, and all the necessary skills which they need as and when there's an emergency. The idea is that we are not saying that they are firefighters, but we want to make sure that we invest on them and then give them the necessary skills so that as and when there's an emergency, they can be able to do something while they are waiting for us as emergency services professionals. So the fire service of today, I think that is the route we are taking. I mean, if you look at, you know, for instance, all over Gauteng or in South Africa in general, that is the route which we are taking to make sure that our communities are empowered. So we on this day, that is the day where we actually highlight that part to say we need to work together to make sure that our communities are informed with the necessary skills so that they're able to deal with these emergencies, and also they understand some of the challenges which we face and how is it that they can do, what is it that they can do to make sure that we work together, because we still believe that without working together with our communities, there's nothing really much we can be able to achieve. But if we work together, we can be able to minimize, you know, the dangers which we still find in our communities. I mean, if you talk about fire incidents, if we work together with our communities in terms of public education, our communities will have necessary knowledge to prevent those. If you talk about the drowning incidents, which we normally respond to, for instance, baptism and things like that, we are able to empower them with the necessary skills so that they're able to prevent such kind of incidents. So we still believe that as long as we empower our residents, the issue of us having shortages is not going to be really much more important, because we are not going to even have those emergencies in our
Thank you very
communities.
much, then, Robert. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. That is Robert Mulaudzi. He is from the Johannesburg Emergency Medical Services. Just giving us and highlighting the importance of marking this day, which is indeed International Firefighters Day.